Good morning, Toastmasters. Well, I feel like I'm still in shock after the last speech here. So it's like walking out of the movie theater after a really engaging movie. So thank you, Luke. That one, whew. So I have to collect myself a little bit here to get started this morning. In 1939, in May, MS St. Louis left Hamburg, Germany, on his way to Cuba. On board were 937 Jewish refugees who wanted to escape Nazi Germany. Well, while they were on the Atlantic, the Cuban government changed their tune and revoked their landing permits, so they couldn't get to Cuba. Instead, the MS St. Louis was going up and down the US East Coast while negotiations were going on, hoping that the US would admit these people. But they didn't have any immigration permits, so in the end, the ship had to go back to Europe. Some Western countries outside Germany agreed to accept them. Some of the refugees managed to get immigration permits, but in the end, 254 of them were murdered in the Holocaust. This is just one example of what happened during the Nazi time. Most people don't know, but before the war started, Hitler actually wanted to get rid of the Jews and asked other countries, "Do you want them?" Nobody wanted them. So in the end, they ended up perishing in the concentration camps. That doesn't abscond Hitler, obviously, but we have some responsibility in what happened to them before the war. Today we're facing a somewhat similar situation here in the US. We see Chinese migrants coming in illegally. They go through enormous hardships to get to South America and then travel up through the Darien Gap, Central America, through Mexico, cross the border, and then they seek asylum. Some 30,000 are estimated to be here right now. Now Donald Trump, he has said that, well, this is orchestrated by the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. This is a covert army that is being deployed into the United States. The Biden administration, not to be outdone, are in talks with the Chinese government right now to deport these 30,000 immigrants. Well, I don't need to tell you what will happen to them if they're returned to China. The CCP may not use gas chambers, but they have plenty of tools in their toolbox. Just ask the Uyghurs. These are just two examples of our broken immigration policy for the past 140 years, ever since the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882 that basically put a halt to all Chinese immigration. And there have been plenty of similar situations since then. Today, the immigrants have become a pawn in party politics. Republicans don't seem to mind the chaos at the southern border because they think that will help them in the upcoming election. And Democrats, well, they don't mind it being a sieve for immigrants coming into the country because they see down the road that there are Democratic prospects, voters in the future. Well, as a result, right now, according to latest polls, immigration is at the top of the list of the concerns of Americans. It's not inflation. It's not Social Security. How will we pay for that? It's not Medicare, Medicaid. No, right now it's immigration. So it seems like the cynic game of Republicans and Democrats is actually paying off right now. So what is the solution to this? Can we do something to get out of these 140 years of immigration mess, quite frankly? Yes, I think we can. But we can't state it as a negative. It's just not a question of stopping illegal immigration, build a wall, shut them out. We have to come up with something positive, because as long as this country is a magnet for people who seek freedom around the world, they will keep coming. So we need to acknowledge why people want to come here. The vast majority just want to come here, get a job, get a way to provide for their family, escape whatever conditions they have to live under in their home country, and otherwise be left alone, just like the rest of us. That's why they come here. Now, you have concerns with immigration? A lot of people do. They take advantage of our welfare state. Well, let's then decide that no federal handouts to immigrants. Most of them would be happy to accept that condition. They burden our public education system. Same thing there. Talk to your state legislators to address that. That is not a federal responsibility. Will they vote for the wrong party? Okay, we have a 5-year rule for citizenship. Maybe we can make it longer, 10, 15, and maybe that will address your concerns. We're letting in a lot of criminals. Well, fact is that most immigrants have a less rate of criminality than what native-born Americans do. You think we're overburdening our system with extended family members, cousins, first cousins, second cousins, grandmothers, etc., etc. Well, that is also something we can address. So what is my proposal here? Well, I have an offer for you, and that is the welcome home vision. To welcome home all those Americans around the world who happen to be born in the wrong country. What does it contain? Well, there are 3 parts of this. It's apply, arrive, and commit. In the apply phase, and this requires a little bit of setup, so hear me out. I think we should do the following. Well, currently, according to Gallup, there are some 160 million people around the world who would like to come to the US. That's an awful lot of people. That's 50% of our current population. So we have to kind of ease this in. We can't obviously open the gates for 160 million to come here. That would create chaos. So what do? This is what we do. We ask people to sign up. Are you interested in coming? Sure, please do. Maybe we get 160 million people signing up. And then we have a lottery and rank them all from 1 to 160 million. And then we decide how many we will let in every year. I think we can start with about 2 million. And then we can increase that with 500,000 every year until we get to, let's say, 2% of the population. That would be 6 to 7 million a year today. You think that is way too high? Well, make it 1.5%, make it 1%. I think we'll need them all, because all of you people, when you get old and you need someone to take care of you, we need workers, and they're not here today. So how do we do this? Well, then we take this out of the hands of politicians and bureaucrats. So we made this list, 160 million people who want to get in, and then we create an immigration marketplace. What does that mean? We allow people to trade places. We're not having any of these different preferential treatments any longer. No preferential treatments for asylum seekers, for extended family, for high educated workers, for students. The list goes on and on. We have currently 185 different visa categories in this country. Talk about a total mess. No, let's take it out of special interests, of the hands of special interests, out of the hands of politicians and bureaucrats, and let the market decide, supply and demand. Let's say you're here, you're from India. You would like your parents to join you. Look at the marketplace. In year 5, it costs so and so much. I can afford that. I'll buy my parents a spot, and in year 5 they will get here. You're concerned with the plight of people in South Sudan? Don't hear much about that nowadays, but there's a war going on. Well, create an NGO, go to an existing NGO, non-governmental organization. Support them with your money, and they may go out to the immigration marketplace. They buy spots for these people who want to come here. They come here and they take care of them. You need farm workers, Jason, to grow all your produce. You go out and look at the immigration marketplace. Year 1, way too expensive. Year 2, also too expensive. But maybe down there in year 5, year 6 or something, you see, I can afford that. Let me buy a few spots. I can bring in 10 farm workers in 5 years from now. And until then, I keep planning for that. So, supply and demand. There are no bureaucrats, no central planning can foresee the demand for immigration. So let the market take care of it, just like it does in every other area of society. Arrive, once they get here, no questions asked as long as you don't have a criminal record in your home country. And then finally commit. After however many years you've been here, and if you want to, you can apply for citizenship. Arrive, apply, arrive, commit. Those are the 3 steps of the welcome home immigration policy. In his farewell address in 1989, Ronald Reagan said the following, and I quote, "I've spoken of the shining city all my political life, but I don't know if I ever communicated what I saw when I said it. But in my mind, it was a tall, proud city, built on rocks stronger than oceans, windswept, God-blessed, and teeming with people of all kinds living in harmony and peace. A city with free ports that hummed with commerce and creativity. And if there had to be city walls, the walls had doors, and the doors were open to anyone with the will and the heart to get here. That's how I saw it and see it still." End quote. Fellow Toastmasters, let's adopt Ronald Reagan's vision. Let's avoid the mistakes of our forebears who were misguided by phobias, by racism, by anti-Semitism. We're better than what they were. Let's implement an immigration policy that will make our children and grandchildren proud, so that they can say that my dad was part of doing this. Contact your elected officials and tell them in no uncertain words that you support the welcome home vision. Good morning, Toastmasters.